And we're back. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Adrian, and we're going to cover up some college football reactions to week 11. Then we're going to chime in on the AP rankings for week 11, which they really don't count, but we're going to give our little feedback on them, a little quick response on them. Then we'll move forward and then look forward to the college football releases that will come out on Tuesday. So let's go ahead and dive into it. And as always, like, subscribe, comment, likes, thumbs up, thumbs up. Right now we're sitting at 693 and subscribers. Come on, help us get there. Promote us, help us out. Thank you for the support. Let's go ahead and chime in. So, real quick, college football recap. College football was a good one. You had a lot of, I guess you want to say some upsets, but had a lot of big going arounds. A lot of, shockers, I would say. Texas fell to TCU, some upsets. Notre Dame barely had hung on to Navy. Wasn't too much of a fight. Texas A&M is at their lowest of their lows. I don't know what to say about that program, especially as much as they're paying, but we'll get into all that. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So first off, Vandy. I want to talk about this. Vanderbilt beat Kentucky. I don't think everybody knows, but it's been 26 games in SEC for Vanderbilt since they won a game in the SEC. 26. They beat Kentucky. And beat them soundly. Congratulations to that whole program for Vandy. I don't think anybody understands the magnitude of what this is for Vandy. Vanderbilt has been one of those teams I wouldn't even consider like a dumpster program. It's just been one of them programs that's inherited a situation where they're just a school that nobody really wants to go to. They're kind of like a Georgia Tech, where they hold a very high standard for the GPA. They put a lot of money into their baseball programs. So it's kind of it's one of those schools like Kentucky. Kentucky is a basketball school. Vanderbilt is a baseball school. That's what Vanderbilt is known for their baseball and what they've done, the championships that they brought there. So for Vanderbilt to beat Kentucky, that's a big one. I know Kentucky isn't a dominant Kentucky, but it's still Kentucky. Kentucky still has better players than Vanderbilt. They got a very seasoned veteran head coach who's a whole lot better. So to see this game, see Kentucky get that win, get that loss from Vanderbilt is a big shocker to me. I didn't think they would be able to do it, especially with Mike Wright at the helm for Vanderbilt. He had a so-so game. I'm looking at my little notes, so bear with me. So, with Mike Wright going 12 for 23, wasn't an astonishing game. 184 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. It wasn't nothing that just shocked you. What shocked you is, and this is going to be another one because Kentucky has to play Georgia next, is they gave up 129 yards to Davis and then another 126 yards to the quarterback. They couldn't stop the quarterback, and they couldn't stop the running back. Kentucky needs to get an answer real quick, real fast, in a hurry, because at this point, you got Georgia coming in town, who's already clinched their SEC East division, is going to go play for the SEC championship against LSU. Kentucky has a lot on the hand. With Georgia team that's really starting to get everything clicking, get everything rolling. They're definitely hitting all strides. So Kentucky definitely needs to figure out. Stoops, I know he's at a position where he is stuck. He had the opportunity to leave Kentucky, where I still think he should have left. He didn't leave. So, but congratulations to Vanderbilt, man. Big win. That game was definitely a run up and down. Hell, I believe Chris Rodriguez, he had a good day. 162 yards alone just for himself. He did good. But Will Levis didn't do great at all for Kentucky. I don't know what's going on with Will Levis. I think Will Levis was already prepared to go to the NFL. I wouldn't be surprised if he sits out if Kentucky, when Kentucky goes to play that bowl game. I'm not surprised he sits out. At this point, Kentucky's looking like their last game, whoever their last opponent that they play, be the last one they play, because they got Georgia next, which at this point is looking like they're going to lose against Georgia. I wouldn't count them out, but they might be trying to, spoil the fun for Georgia. But at this point, it's looking like Kentucky's going to lose against Georgia, and they might just win their last game, which is Louisville. I don't know what to say about Kentucky. Will Levis is most likely checked out. Chris Rodriguez, he's going to the NFL as well. Kentucky's, right now they're just playing just to finish the season out because they're already bowl eligible. I don't think it really matters at what they do. They're not playing for anything else, not no SEC championship, nothing else. On the other hand, Vanderbilt's playing for a lot more. They want to at least get bowl eligible. So they're trending in the right direction. But again, congratulations, Vanderbilt, for getting that win. Let's move on to the next one. Next one I really want to cover. Texas A&M. My God, Texas A&M. Shit. Where do we start, man? Like, I'm gonna put this out here. For any Texas A&M fans, Jimbo Fisher isn't going nowhere. He's gonna be here for next year and the year after. Y'all gonna see him for 2 years. The buyout that he has, I think, is what, $85 million, $80 million. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much oil money you have. 80-something million dollars is a lot to give somebody to get the hell out your program. So at this point, you might well just stick with him. Hope he makes a big difference for next year, but they will be planning on to fire this man. The turnover at Texas A&M is going to be, it might be high. I'm not going to say it is going to be high, but you can see some turnovers. Coaching staff, everything. Hell, even you might see some recruits jump into the portal. That big recruiting class that they had, most likely a lot of those kids are going to, I'm not going to say a lot, but you're going to see at least about 4 or 5 of them jump into the transfer portal. It's not going to be a deficit, but it's going to be a lot of change. Some of those boosters are going to get around Jimbo Fisher and be like, look, either you stop playing play calls or we're going to figure something out. Is Jimbo Fisher going to give all those reins? Probably not. He was a play caller at Florida State. He's going to be the play caller at Texas A&M. Deal with it. Plus, they got a quarterback issue. With the quarterback issue that Texas A&M was dealing with, it's not their defense. Their defense is fine. If anybody watched any Texas A&M games, their defense has held them in a lot of games, man. They don't have the talented quarterback or running back that they need. They just don't have it. They don't have it at all. Haynes Keens couldn't get it done. Max Johnson couldn't get it done. Then they put in the freshman quarterback to get it done. They still struggle against the Auburn team. They only can put up 10 points against an Auburn team that's playing without a head coach, intern coach with Cadillac Williams, and Robbie Ashford, who is not a proven quarterback yet. He is still raw. This is a raw, talented player who just doesn't have all the skill sets yet, and they still struggle with their with their backup quarterback with their freshman, Wingman, 14 for 36, 121 yards, 3.4 yards per pass, 1 touchdown. This man had a 28.2 QBR rating. That is not going to win nothing. I don't care how bad as Auburn is, you still won't beat them. And they didn't. They didn't win nothing. They struggled. They didn't have a great ground game neither. 83 yards rushing. They struggled. Then when you look at Auburn, what do you get from Auburn? Robbie Ashford. Look, it was just a terrible game. I mean, I don't know if anybody ever really watched this game. Look at Robbie Ashford, 6 for 13, 60 yards, 4.6 yards passing, one touchdown, 2 interceptions. This man had a 23.6 QBR rating. It's terrible. It was two bad teams playing who's going to be the worst. And whoever came out the worst was going to be the winner. And at this point, Auburn was the winner. It was 2 bad, terrible teams, man. And the fact that Texas A&M lost, and this is probably what's driving everybody crazy, is that Texas A&M has the far better, superior, talented team against a lot of teams that they played. When you watch in the beginning of the season, they started off beat Sam Houston 31-0. Congratulations. Second game of the season, then they lose to Appalachian State. Struggle. How do you lose against Appalachian State? They're trash. You see how they've been ever since that win over in Texas A&M and College Station. They have not been the same. And I think Texas A&M got beside themselves looking ahead at Miami, because if they would have looked at Appalachian State, they would have seen how Appalachian State struggled and had a gun in a shootout with North Carolina. And the only reason why they lost against North Carolina because had a little poor pass or a poor read from the quarterback, what he did when they got down into the goal line. And what was that? 13 seconds left, 3 seconds left, or whatever it was when Appalachian State played at North Carolina. So Texas A&M, they lose that game, and then they barely beat a Miami team, 9-17. Then they struggled against Arkansas, where we see where Arkansas is at, and then they lose in Mississippi State. Alabama and Georgia. Alabama embarrassed Mississippi State. Georgia embarrassed Mississippi State at their own home. And then you got, they play against Alabama, and Alabama's been having a lot of close games with a lot of folks. And then Texas A&M travels to South Carolina and loses to South Carolina. And South Carolina just got their doors blown off by Florida. And then, they lose to Ole Miss. Then they lose to Florida. Then they just recently lose to Auburn. So for Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher, and that whole program is going to be it's getting flipped upside down. Regardless if Jimbo Fisher likes it or not, it's getting flipped upside down. It is. It's going to happen. Deal with it, Jimbo. It needs to happen. Now, I mean, like, don't care how much money y'all spent on all this sign and recruit. You ain't. I can promise you this: Texas A&M is not going to do that this year. They're not going to have the number one recruiting class this year. Not with the, the body of work that they put on the field. Them recruits seeing that stuff. They seen it. If they seeing this on the field, you think they're going to want to come? No, they want consistency. And Texas A&M has not been consistent with Jimbo Fisher been there. Again, Jimbo Fisher had one great year. That was COVID year. A lot of teams had great years during COVID year. BYU had a great year during COVID year. Where's BYU now? We don't know. They just disappeared. So for Texas A&M, I don't know what to say, but to lose to Auburn, who's a bad team, terrible. Congratulations to Cadillac though. First win as an intern coach, beating up on a Texas A&M team that he should have beat because they were terrible. And congratulations to Auburn. But this was a boring game. I watched. I turned it on. I seen the score, and I was like, "This is definitely a struggle. Definitely a struggle win." It just took so long for points to get put on the game. I mean, put up on the board, especially for Texas A&M. They didn't get on the board until the fourth quarter. At that point, it was done. So it was just pointless and very boring game. But again, congratulations to Auburn for that win. You deserve it because Texas A&M definitely doesn't deserve it. So Texas A&M only has they're not even bowl eligible, so I don't think it doesn't even matter for them. They've only won 3 games, so it doesn't even matter for them. I think Auburn has the opportunity to get bowl eligible, but let's move on to the next one. Purdue versus Illinois. Illinois kind of reminds me of Syracuse, which you get a lot of these teams that have this great, phenomenal year, and it's like these Cinderella stories that everybody's all happy about, and then they turn around and then they lose their first game and then they lose their second game. And that's what happened with Illinois. They had Michigan come, and this is crazy. Both their last 2 losses have been at home. They lose to Michigan State, who got embarrassed by Michigan, and then got embarrassed very bad by Michigan, got ran up and down. Then Michigan State comes in there, turns the table around, moves forward from all that, video surfacing of them beating up on a Michigan player, and goes out there to Illinois and beat Illinois at home. Then you have Purdue come to your house and beat you as well. That is very unacceptable. Brett Bellany, congratulations to him what he did, but I think we see, what happens when a team is actually that's been one-dimensional all season long. And that is what, Illinois is. Illinois was the number 1 defense in the country, but it was total defense. Passing yards, they weren't that elite. Running, that was pretty good, but just overall, they just weren't elite. They didn't have that type of talent that can hold up. So, it is no telling what it would have been like if they would have made it to the Big Ten championship, which right now they're not even in the first place no more. Remember, Illinois is going into week 7, week 8 or 9 as the number 1 team in their respective division in first place. All they had to do was just continue to win out, just finish out. Been playing hard nosed, rumble in the jungle ball type game. You should have continued to do that. Problem is that when you start playing against teams that's going to find more ways to exploit you, that's what happened. And Purdue is not a lights out type of team, but they're not a terrible team neither. They're now they're number 1 in their division. So that whole that whole Big Ten West it's really up for grabs. It's not that good. It really isn't. I mean, if you look at the Big Ten East, you have Michigan State, you have Michigan, you have Ohio State. You see what I'm saying? It's hard in the Big East to come out unscathed, but you're going to have a lot of talent. And then when you look at the West, you just got Purdue, Maryland. You don't really have a lot of talent over there. But overall, congratulations to Purdue. Purdue has always been one of those teams that just shock people. We remember what they did to Ohio State back in, was it 16, 17? I can't remember, but how they shocked them. They're kind of like an Iowa. It's one of the teams you got to be careful going to play them. But in this case, for Illinois, they didn't go to play Purdue. Purdue came there and beat them the same way Michigan State beat them. Purdue is still Purdue is a good team in the Big Ten. So whoever they play in and their respective bowl games are going to have a lot on their hand. But for the shocker for me is with Illinois being what they were, 8 weeks ago, 9 weeks ago, we can say, for them to lose to Michigan State and to lose to Purdue. It's one thing that, okay, if they would lose to Purdue, okay, all right, I can take that one. But to lose to Michigan State, which Michigan State is not a good team this year, they've fallen off the face of the planet. All right, they don't have the same run game. They still got the same quarterback who really didn't do much for them last year, so you're not gonna get a lot of them out of it this year. But the defense is not the same defense they had last year, and still to lose to Michigan State just doesn't make any sense to me. You shouldn't lose to Michigan State, but congratulations to Purdue for holding down their own. And these are a lot of notable games that I just wanted to cover. Bama versus Ole Miss. Look, I know Lane Kiffin would have loved to beat Alabama, his former boss, but he didn't beat it. He wasn't able to do it this year. I'm gonna do it this year. I think Nick Saban is pretty much. I think the whole Alabama team is getting tired of everybody counting the tide out, saying the dynasty is over. I don't see it. Yes, granted, I give you that Alabama isn't the same Alabama we've seen since 2020, but it's only 2 years. Remember, Alabama made it to the championship last year, to the national championship last year. Now we're already saying that that the dynasty is over after what? Just a season where right now they only got 2 losses, and their 2 losses are to who? LSU. And who else? It's not like they losing to somebody terrible. They didn't lose to nobody bad. They just lost to LSU and Tennessee, which Tennessee is good. Tennessee is good. Tennessee just hung 10,000 points on Missouri this past weekend. Even they were able to put up 66 points. So that means they were able to put up their backups. And their backups went out there and threw the ball around and slung the ball around, made it look nasty. That's what you get, Eli Drinkwitz, for talking crazy. But still, so I don't know why everybody's getting in their mindset that, oh, well, Nick Saban is done and he's finished and the dynasty is over. That dynasty isn't over and Nick Saban isn't done neither. Alabama's still Alabama. All right. Bryce Young, yes, he's gone. Will Anderson, yes, he's gone. Dallas Turner just might come back. Henry To'oTo'o, he's gone. All right. Now, does Alabama have a very good quarterback behind Bryce Young right now? No. I think we all can agree on that. But it's Nick Saban. He's going to get the quarterback that he wants for this year. If that's in the transfer portal or that's somebody in the recruiting class. But, shout out, Bryce Young doing Bryce Young things. 21 for 33, 209 yards, 6.3 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 72.9 QBR. There was no Jahmyr Gibbs. He was out, but McClellan, 84 yards rushing. So, great job for them, man. They did their thing. You know what I mean? They did their thing. They held Ole Miss down. They slowed them down. Got to give it to them. They made Jackson Dart, try to be a quarterback, which I think everybody thought Jackson Dart was going to be that, light up the scoreboard because what he did over there at USC. Has anybody seen the Pac-12? I mean, have anybody seen the Pac-12 this year? No. UCLA just got upset by Arizona. Oregon just lost to Washington. It's up for grabs. So, he did good at USC, but it's still USC. He comes over here to the SEC where some defense is really getting played. He gets challenged. And remember, Lane Kiffin is at first. He likes to pass the ball, but if he doesn't have that quarterback to be able to do it, this is what happens. This is what's going to happen. He just didn't have the quarterback. He doesn't have the quarterback that can do it. Ole Miss is good, but I don't really see Lane Kiffin staying at Ole Miss too much longer. You got a lot of jobs open. Nebraska, Auburn. I can see Lane Kiffin staying within his blueprint, which is the SEC, staying down south. Might get that job at Auburn. Nebraska is wide open. I know nobody think about Nebraska as a good team, as a good program, but they got the money. They got the money to compete with anybody else. Nebraska at one point was a strong powerhouse, so they got the money. But that was a good game. That was a very good game. It was looking kind of bad. The nasty face mask that Dallas Turner did. People was upset about it. It was like it was a mistake. It's college football. He's trying to go for a sack. He tries to get him. He turns. His hand grabs, grabbing the face bag and everything. And some of folks was upset when he got the other sack again and pushed the games down. It's football. Deal with it. All right. This is just football. I mean, it's a gritty sport. It happens. All right. But, shout out to Alabama for that win over Ole Miss, which I think everybody did pick Alabama to win. I don't think anybody was picking for no Alabama to lose a third game. And with who they got, Austin Peay coming up next, Alabama's fine. They're only going to lose 2 games of the season because their last game is Auburn, which I think we all know that Iron Bowl is not going to be the same Iron Bowl that everybody thinks it's going to be. I think Alabama's going to have their way with Auburn. If Auburn struggled this bad against Texas A&M, they're going to have their hands full. All right? They're going to definitely have their hands full. Let's go ahead and get into something else where, I'm very shocked and, shouldn't be too surprised, but I'm shocked. I think this was one that everybody should have known. Let me get my notes rolling for me. So, Washington beats Oregon, 37-34. Kudos, Washington. I don't think anybody knows, but the quarterback they got, he came from Indiana. And I think we always remember what he did at Indiana. He was lighting up the scoreboard. Remember, during that whole COVID season and after, he was all over the boards. He was just lighting up the boards, throwing passes, just bumming them. So, he did a hell of a job, for what he did. I'm trying to make sure I can remember his name. Let me look at my notes. Get my notes out. Oh, yeah, Michael Penix Jr. Whoa, forgot that name real quick. But he had a great job. Look at this man's stats. 26 for 35, 408 yards, 11.7 yards averaging, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 93.9 QBR. With a QBR just like that, you should win. You should do your thing. And congratulations, Bo Nix didn't have a Bo Nix type of day. Games like this, when they lose, you would think Bo Nix would have that type of day. But no, they didn't. Beating for Washington to beat Oregon is a good statement for them. It's a good direction for that program. Remember, that program went through a lot of turmoil, especially with the head coach and all the accusations and allegations of how he was treating his former players, treating his current players, how he was yelling at them, all that stuff. And he ended up losing his job. So for Washington to turn it around and to do what they did, congratulations to him. But Bo Nix had a good day, 19 for 27, 280 yards, 10.4, averaging 2 touchdowns, 0 interception, 90.89. Great job. Hell, the run game was good. Irving, 143 yards. Whittington, 108 yards. Bo Nix, 59 yards. So didn't have a bad game. Not bad at all. It was just a good game. I think this game was just it was a tough fought game for Oregon, because 1 minute you'll be watching and you see Washington to get a score, you turn it off real quick to go to another game, watch a commercial, and the next thing you get ready to go flip back because the game about to be on, and then boom, Oregon was up, takes the lead. It was 1 minute, it was 28, it was, what was it, 28-24 or something like that, and then boom, Oregon takes the lead. Then it was 31, 28, and then all snowball effects after that. But good game. Great game, really. Those are the type of games I like to see as well. I know we haven't seen a lot of them, but for Washington, that is good for them, man. That is a good sound win for them. Puts them in a good spot for their division. They're going to be fighting who's going to be playing in the Pac-12 championship. Right now, it's looking like a USC versus Oregon, but everybody got to pay attention, because right now you got a lot of games that's still left. Well, not a lot of games still left. You only got 2 games left, but there's some important games that's left. If with Utah coming to Oregon and Oregon has to travel to Oregon State, that's going to be a tough one for Oregon, their last 2 games. And unfortunately, I feel as if Oregon's going to drop one of them. Oregon is going to drop one of them. And really, they just might drop the one at Oregon State. They might pull it off against Utah, but going to Oregon State and pray that it's not at nighttime at Oregon State, where it's a lot, man. It's going to be a lot for Oregon to try to do. You're going to be asking Oregon to try to hold up against Utah and Oregon State. And granted, yes, Oregon State is not the best, but they are 7-3. They're not no Texas A&M. They're not Auburn. They're still a good team. They're not Texas. You see how Texas look right now in the Big 12. They're not Baylor, the same Baylor that won their division last year and just fell off all of a sudden. So Won that conference last year. So congratulations to Washington for getting a win. But Oregon has a lot on their plate. Their last 2 games is going to be tough. So are they going to still be number 2 in their division? No, I don't really see it. I don't know about UCLA neither because they just got upset against Arizona. And we'll get into that one. But it's going to really come down to, can Oregon bounce back? You had a tough loss at home. You got Utah coming into town as well. And it's a night game. It's a night game. That's going to be dangerous. I don't think they will lose to Utah, but it's still going to be a dangerous one. Utah had their little tough losses throughout the season, but they only got 2 losses. But they beat Stanford soundly. They've been winning the games here, especially with that beat that they put on USC 3 weeks ago. Utah's feeling good. So coming into Oregon with Utah, and they has the last game against Colorado, Utah's in a good position. All they need to do is beat Oregon and beat Colorado, and then Utah might just make some good noise. But sorry for Oregon. I think they put it all out there on the table, put all on their heart on the table for that one, especially with them counting on trying to get back into the college football playoff, because they had that very bad taste of a loss against who else? Georgia. Georgia embarrassed them badly in the first game of the season, and they've been really bouncing back and trying to turn it around. So it's going to be a tough one for them because, like I said, you got Utah coming in town, and then you got to go travel to Oregon State for your last game of the season. That's going to be a lot on their hands. But for Washington, congratulations to Washington, man, and Penix, especially with them having a new, head coach as well. They're doing a good job, man. For them, last 2 games, Colorado and Washington State, Washington has a good opportunity to finish out with a good winning season, with a good record with 10-2, and just hoping and praying. I guess they'd be hoping and praying that something happens, like UCLA drops another one. They would really need Oregon to beat. They would need UCLA to drop their last 2 games, Utah to lose to Oregon, and Oregon to lose to Oregon State for them to get into the race against USC, because I don't see nobody really beating USC. USC is going to have some tight games. Their last 2 will be, but I don't see them losing any games. But again, congratulations to Washington. You did your thing. You held it down, and you embarrassed Oregon at home, which they don't like. Next game, TCU versus Texas. This game, look, for now on, Texas is not back. They're not back. You can drop the horns. You can do whatever you want. As of right now, Texas is not back. Not back. I don't care that this is just Steve Sarkisian's second year. That's fine and dandy. They're not back. Let Texas rebuild and continue to rebuild, because they're nowhere near back. I think they had a lot of high hopes for Quinn Ewers, and I think it was too much high hopes. Granted, and for me, I should have stuck with my gun saying I needed to see more. And yes, we need to see more, because as much as we've seen with Texas, we see how Quinn Ewers plays. We see it. So they're not back. They're not back at all. Texas is still where they belong, where they should be at. Right after when Mac Brown left, that's where Texas is at right now. After Charlie Strong, that's where Texas is at right now. All that over there. That's where Texas is at. All right, let's leave them where it's at, but we can bring TCU forward. Congratulations to TCU. Congratulations. Second time in their school history are they going to the Big 12 championship. Second time. Dumb Horned Frogs is making a lot of noise. This game, I caught the second half, and I was shocked at the score when it was like 10-3. When I came in late into the second half, it was like 10-3 or the early second, whatever it was. And Texas has a good defense. I'm going to say that Texas has a good defense. I'm going to say they're elite or they're the best of the best, but they have a real good defense for that division. But I think TCU was just too much for Texas, man. TCU was rolling hot, and Texas knows it, and Steve Sarkisian knew it, and they still couldn't do against Dungan, whatever, I can't pronounce. I'm gonna damage his name, but Max Dungan. He had a good, I'm not gonna say a good day. He just had a fairly decent day. Let's say that. It was a back and forth poor game. Both quarterbacks just really didn't wow you. You see what I'm saying? Like Max Duggan did enough to not lose the game poorly. He didn't have a good one. 19 for 29, 124 yards, 4.3, one touchdown, 32, um, you know, 32.6 QBR. So that's what I'm saying. It was a poor game. The run game for Miller, he did great, 138 yards carrying. What was crazy to me was Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson was just like nowhere to be found. Like, it became a murder ball game where whoever can run a ball better was going to get the win. And that's what it turned out to be, where Bijan Robinson only had 29 yards rushing. They held Bijan Robinson 29 yards rushing. That means they were sound in their gaps, their schemes, twist curves. They was getting all up in between and just doing their thing. And, for Quentin Ewers, he needs to come back. And I think he does have the opportunity to go pro. I think he does, but he needs to come back, and he probably needs to come back. He needs to come back another year and get sound. That allows Arch Manning to sit back and observe and understand the game, but he needs to come back another year because he's not ready. And I mean, if he plays like this, he'll probably be benched next year. Just saying, just putting that out there. But kudos to TCU. You're 10-0. You clinch your division. You're going to the Big 12 championship. Just all about who you're going to face in your Big 12 championship. That'll be a good one to see, because right now it's KSU, Kansas State University. I'm just all tongue tied. It's in second place. So big one. We'll see how it turns out. And then Arizona versus UCLA. All right, UCLA. I know you had a tough loss against Oregon, and I know that tough loss might have hurt you a lot. But for you to come back out and to lose against Arizona, I don't know if anybody knows, but Arizona is not the best team in the world right now. I mean, they're 4-6. All right, it's 4-6. UCLA, you had a tough loss against Oregon. Let's look at this. They had a tough loss against Oregon. Bounce back, beat Stanford soundly. Bounce back, beat Arizona State in Arizona State, just to come home to lose against Arizona. And then now you got a final. Then you got to face off against USC and then Cal. You'll beat Cal, but you're going to lose to USC. Trojans are going to come in there. It's going to be too much high power, and they're going to beat you. And this reminds me of UCLA last year, the same way they had a great start off, embarrassed LSU, when they came to California. Reason why Jimbo Fisher was already, not Jimbo Fisher, Ed Orgeron, the reason why Ed Orgeron was definitely heat was on fire then, because they beat them. And they had a great start last year, and they just fell off. So UCLA is, don't drop the egg again against UCLA. Don't do what Illinois did against Michigan State and Purdue. Don't lose 2 games at home. And right now, you got Arizona that came in your house, beat you 34-28. A bad Arizona team just manhandled you. Arizona in that game, they were the more physical and sound and toughest fighting team out there. They were very, very physical. They played UCLA the same way Oregon played them. Very, very physical. So now they got to play USC, who is not as physical as the rest of the teams, but USC, they pride on turnovers, interceptions, fumbles. That's where their bread and butter at. They're gonna do everything to get it. So they're gonna be trying to punch the ball out, intercept the ball. That's how they make their bread and butter. And don't lose that game to USC. Don't drop that game. Come out there and fight, but you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose against USC, and I know you don't want to lose, but you're gonna lose. But those are some of the notable games I wanted to cover, and then really want to give a shout out to a few other games. So shout out to Tennessee. Bounce back game. I mean, tremendous bounce back game. I don't know if anybody got to see that game that Tennessee did in Missouri, which you didn't miss nothing. You just didn't get to see a bunch of balls thrown around. Tennessee embarrassed Missouri, 66-24. Embarrassed Missouri. They, when a team like Tennessee comes out and gets beat pretty bad at Georgia, gets shut down and everything, most teams, and they come out, they do, what do? They lose another one. They allow another team to come in and beat them and lose another one. Tennessee didn't. And this right here, this win for Tennessee was a good win for them. This right here is going to also continue to catapult that program, which is good for them. It's going to really, change a lot for them. I still believe that Josh Heupel playing in SEC it's definitely going to be hard for him to continue to win games the way he's winning, because that type of style of football will get shut down quickly, and every team will figure you out in the SEC. That's how the SEC works. It's defensive. It's all about defense, and they're going to figure you out, and they're going to shut you down. So Josh Heupel will need to work something out. Ohio State embarrassed Indiana. Number 2 team in the country. You did what you were supposed to do. Georgia, beat Mississippi State. If you didn't get to really watch that game, Georgia played poorly and still won. Stetson Bennett had 2 interceptions and they still won. Now, granted, 1 interception, his hand got hit and he threw an interception, but Georgia still won. Last 2 games for a lot of these teams for Georgia, it's just Kentucky and Georgia Tech. So Georgia has a good way of finishing 12-0. That's all they got to do is go 12-0. Ohio State, on the other hand, has a tough one, because Ohio State's last 2 games are Maryland. They're traveling to Maryland, which they should beat Maryland, which they will. I'm not going to say they should. They will. They will beat Maryland. And then they got to finish off at Michigan, which is going to be the one everybody's going to be watching. Everybody's going to be watching that game for one reason only, because this right here is determined who's going to the Big Ten and who's going to the playoffs. So all that toxin, conspiracy, and aluminum foil hats where you're going to have 3 SEC teams, and no, because LSU beat Arkansas. So LSU's going to the SEC championship. Okay? Georgia's going to the SEC championship. So you're only going to get 1 person from every respective conference. Like, if Georgia loses to LSU, they're still going to the playoffs. It just is what it is. The only loss they'll have is just LSU. They're going to the playoffs. Same thing for Michigan, Ohio State. If they only lost it to either one of those lose, they're going to the playoffs. So at this point, you can go ahead and pin in somebody from the SEC and the Big Ten. The big question is going to really come down to Big 12 and Pac-12. And that's where you can have a big scuffle where, who should it be? Should it be USC? USC might get in, but then Big 12. I really feel as TCU needs to win out. And TCU, I'm thinking about it now. TCU might have to go 13-0. Because if you think about it, the way how's everything's ranked right now, Tennessee has a shot of getting back in. All TCU got to do is lose 1 game, and Tennessee is back in the game. And they're back in. And that's it. And then, some other noticeable games. Like I said, LSU knocked off Arkansas, got them into the game. Barely knocked off Arkansas. Barely. Like, LSU playing like that, and if you got to go play against Georgia, you're going to have a long day. Clemson beat Louisville. Y'all better thank Will Shipley for what he did. Those 2 rushing touchdowns, especially leaping over a man and then just breaking 2 poorly. Look, y'all got to wrap up, man. These shoulder tackling is not going to make it. Folks are built different. You need to wrap up. You need to wrap some arms and bring them to the ground. Will Shipley, what he did was running up the middle, 10 yards out from the goal line, jumps over a defender, and then 2 other defenders try to hit him from both sides, and he bounced off them like they were nothing. It was like they just threw pillows at him, and he just kept going. That was it. Terrible. Penn State beat Maryland 30-0. That's why I said Maryland losing to Ohio State. I don't care what nobody say. They're losing. I don't care what the score is. They might lose by 1 point. It's still a loss. They're done. But, overall, congratulations to a lot of teams. Boston College beat North Carolina State. Woo! But, we'll see, because this is going to be interesting. But, again, kudos to all the teams that won. Kudos to all the other little noticeable wins out there. And everybody else had their big upsets. All right, let's go ahead and get ready to move on to the next topic. AP top rankings. That was released today. Let me get this thing rolling. So, AP top rankings was released today. Like I said, it probably won't really matter who the rankings. If you see them right down here, you want to know how I got it set up. It's just Dogs, Ohio, Wolverines, and them Frogs. Orange Frogs, TCU. But let's go ahead and dive into it. So we're going to start from the bottom, move our way up. So Oregon State made it to the jump. Congratulations, Oregon. You're ranked 25. Oklahoma State back into it. Congratulations. Coastal Carolina University, woo, they're back in it. 9-1. Let's talk about this. Coastal Carolina is ranked number 23. Now, granted, I give it to you. They haven't played nobody. The schedule is about what it is. They haven't played any real true test team that can really give them something of an argument to work off. And I give everybody that. I really do. Especially with them losing Old Dominion. It's definitely be hard for them to do any conversations. But they got to go travel to Virginia, which, I mean, they might lose that one. Who knows? But, 9-1, maybe top, put them number 20. I mean, could they beat Florida State? I don't know. I think, matter of fact, just leave them at 23 because looking at, the schedule is just not what it is. But let's move on. Cincinnati at 22. Tulane with that tough loss. They're ranked at 21. FSU is at 20. Kansas State University is at 19. Notre Dame's bouncing back. They're coming back, y'all. Y'all better pay attention. They're ranked at 18. UCF is 17. UCLA is 16. Washington is 15 after that good win over Oregon. Ole Miss loses to Bama, drops down to 14. North Carolina 13. Look, if you don't know who Drake Mays is, you need to go figure him out. He is the sole reason why North Carolina has been winning the games that they're winning. They're at 9-1, and it's solely because of him. Drake Mays, true freshman. Remember him. Oregon has dropped down to number 12 with that loss that they took from Washington. You got Penn State beating up on people, poor little Maryland. They were ranked number 11. Utah is ranked number 10. And then we get into the top 10. So, but Utah being ranked number 10, I don't see nothing wrong with it. I mean, Utah only, real true loss was against Florida and, let me pull it up, was against Florida and UCLA. Now, granted, Florida ranking didn't last long as hell. Didn't last long at all for them when they got ranked. But the fact they lost to Florida, I still believe Utah should never lost that game to Florida. Utah had it. Utah had that game against Florida, and they should have won. They just didn't execute like the times they need. They just didn't execute the way they should have. But then when they lose to UCLA, that really also hurt. So Oregon shot for the college football championship. They just hang it up. Don't worry about it. But, if they can continue to win out and do their thing, they might be able to prove something if they can get into the, Pac-12 championship. We really looked over that. They got USC, Oregon, a lot, just working against them. I think they're right behind Oregon. So they need to beat Oregon, really, and get a shot. Clemson, ranked number 9. Like I said, man, thank you, Will Shipley, and y'all better thank Clemson for the Clemson defense for what they do. Because right now, I don't know if it's a quarterback situation. I don't know what it is, but if Clemson has to play at Ohio State right now, how do we think that score would turn out to be? Would it turn out to be a good score or a terrible score? Terrible. Poor. Bad. Very bad. Be a very bad score. So I don't think Clemson is ready for USC. I don't think they're definitely not ready for Tennessee. They're definitely not ready for Michigan. And, I mean, they might just have their hands full with TCU. So Clemson being ranked number 9, I really do feel that Clemson should be in the 15 ranges, something around there. Clemson never should have been ranked number 4 when the first college football rankings came out. I don't know where that came from, of why they did it, the voters, but I think just Clemson bias, really, knowing that what they've been doing in the past, that's why you put them there. But Clemson should not have been number 4. This is more like what they should be. They should be a little bit lower, between 15 and 10. I would say between 11 and you can battle between 11 and 12. That's what it should be. But moving forward, Alabama at number 8, rightfully so. Alabama and Clemson is just those two programs that's not looking like what they used to be, and they should be treated like how they are playing right now. Put them in the right rankings, not give them, credit because of what they did, in the past. And then you got USC sitting at number 7. Congratulations, USC. They got a real good shot to get to the college football playoff, depending on how everything shakes out between TCU, Michigan, and Ohio State. Because Tennessee is not losing no other games. I think their last ones is Vanderbilt and South Carolina. Very two terrible teams. And then you have LSU, who's ranked at number 6, which congratulations, LSU ranked at number 6, going to the SEC championship in first year of Brian Kelly. Remember, this is Brian Kelly's first year. Jaden Daniels' first year playing the SEC, going to the championship. So that's a good thing, making good strides. Congratulations to them. Tennessee, ranked number 5. They just blew Missouri out the stadium. And then TCU with that very boring win against terrible Texas team. Michigan ranked number 3, rightfully so. Ohio State ranked number 2, rightfully so. And Georgia ranked number 1, rightfully so. So those are your rankings, your AP top rankings, especially your top 4, which makes sense for right now. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, and TCU. The big question is going to be between Ohio State and Michigan, because either one of them takes a loss, they're out. For Georgia, if Georgia takes a loss in the SEC championship, they're not out. They'll just drop down to number 4. You wouldn't kick them out for being 12-1. But for Ohio State and Michigan, both of them need a win. They need to win. One of them needs to win in this game and then go to the Big Ten and win out. Big Ten championship to win out. TCU definitely is the one you got to be. TCU needs to be careful because they need a win out. Because in this situation, Ohio State and Michigan, if either one of them loses, they can get right back in. Because if Ohio State or Michigan beat each other, let's just say Ohio State beat Michigan. Michigan most likely is going to fall down to number 5. And then, TCU will move up. And then, Tennessee will move up, right? But if TCU loses, you start rotating around, you're going to have 2 SEC teams and 2 Big Ten teams in the national championship. And the Big 12 and the Pac-12 are going to be just standing out, looking out on the outside end, looking like, man, this isn't fair. So the Big 12 is counting on TCU to win. That's what they're counting on. They're counting on TCU to win. So, but on that note, man, that's pretty much it, man. It's your Creative Notice podcast. It's your boy, Adrian. The other crew, they out right now, man. I just want to cover this football. I have a great weekend. We'll upload a video for the next week, for week 12 that's going to be coming up. And we might work on actually getting a reaction. So like, subscribe, comment. As always, we out. Peace.